Hi guys. All right, this week we are going to be starting a new assignment. It really takes your knowledge and our practice with the rhetorical appeals, ethos, pathos, and logos from last week, combines it with a little bit of research and a little bit of writing. Don't be overwhelmed by those things. We're going to work on each of them one at a time, so it's not like we're going to be doing everything at once. So just take a deep breath and just go step by step. If you will get to Schoology and then get to the week 4 stuff, that's what I'm going to be looking at. I'm going to go over this whole assignment sheet right now, and then I'm going to do just a little thing about research because there are some common questions that I get that I want to make sure you know before you start your research. All right, so here is the assignment. The first piece that you are going to do is choose a research question. Here's the deal. I have several ideas listed. These are not the only research questions you can use. I want this to be something that is meaningful to you and that interests you, so don't feel limited by this. Anything that you are able to find research on, you can research, and that's appropriate, I should say. So there are some ideas here. If you don't like any of them, choose your own. If you need help, if you're like, yeah, I don't like any of them, but I also don't really know what I want to do, let me know and we can find something that works for you. So today you are just going to choose your question and answer the question and start to find sources online that support your argument. So for example, if you are choosing the second one, should homework be banned? Then you are going to today, first of all, decide, maybe your answer is yes, it should be. Then you're going to start looking up some articles that support why homework should be banned. Tomorrow, you are going to be taking notes on your research question and your research sources that you find. The notes can be really in whatever form you want. You'll see I just have a blank space for each rhetorical appeal. You can do bullet points, you can do complete sentences, you can do summaries, paraphrases. Just tell me what you find. Please note 2 things. First of all, your research notes do not need to take up that whole space. If you look at my example, you'll see mine only take up like 2 or 3 lines. So it doesn't have to be a ton of stuff. Your writing at the end of this is going to be pretty short, so your research can be very brief as well. I do want to point out, though, that you need at least one direct quote. And remember, a direct quote is when you take a sentence or a few lines from one of your sources and you put it into your notes and or your writing word for word. So if you are ever taking a sentence or 2 or a paragraph entirely from someone else's writing, you have to make sure that it is in quotation marks and that you give them credit for it, or else it is plagiarizing. All right, later in the week, we are going to be working on Works Cited pages. That's why it's important. You'll see on the research notes page that you need to save your URLs. That's going to be important for the Works Cited page, and it's also going to be important when you go back to your sources, which you will likely do as you write, to find your information again. Then lastly, you are going to be doing some writing, and we're going to get to that later in the week. But what I want to make sure you recognize here, as far as this beginning of the week stuff goes, is that within your research, you need to find at least one argument for each rhetorical appeal. So, for example, we've talked about logos. A lot of times that involves statistics or facts or data. That would be a great thing to find. If you find in one of your articles a statistic or some sort of research or survey that was done, that's a great example of a logos appeal. If you find in your research a really sad or maybe a really happy story about someone that this research has affected, that your research question has affected, that would be a great example of pathos. If you know that the author of your article is someone really legit and they've done a lot of studies or research or whatever on your topic, that would be a great example of ethos, that you are building the credibility and knowledge of the author so that your audience, the readers of your eventual writing at the end of this week, know that the research you did was legit. Quickly, I want to go over what you're going to do today and tomorrow. We'll get to the other stuff on Wednesday. So I'm going to go ahead and just open the assignment. There is an example on here, so make sure that you look at it. I hope it's helpful. You are going to choose your research question, make your argument, so that's just answering the question. Then you are going to find your sources online. I would say if your source does not have an article title, that's a little concerning. Definitely if it doesn't have a website title, it's concerning. If there's no publisher or date, it's concerning. If there is no author, that's the one that's not as concerning to me. A lot of times websites kind of have a team of authors working on things and they don't give a specific author for every single article or every single web page. So that one I'm not as concerned about. If you can't find the others though, make sure that you watch the next portion of this video and it's going to explain how to find those things. If you still can't find them, email me and we can do some work. So you need at least 2 sources. If you want to use more, have at it. Then, like I said, you're just going to be taking your notes. You're going to find your logical appeal, and you're going to either summarize what you found, pull out a direct quote, or paraphrase what you found. Then you're just going to tell me which source it's from. So if it's from source 2, you'll write source 2. Same thing for pathos and ethos. Make sure that in one of these you have a direct quote. Like I said, the rest of them can be summaries in your own words. Next up, I'm going to talk through how to find your MLA information on a website. The different information that we need. So some people get confused about the website title versus the web page or article title. So generally the website title is going to be at the very top. A lot of times it's in the left-hand corner. Sometimes it'll be in the center or the right. So this is National Public Radio, NPR. That's my website title. The article is called Dog People Live Longer, but Why? We have our date right here, and we have our author right here. Now we're just missing our publisher. So I scroll down to the very, very bottom of the page till I can scroll no further. And I generally see a copyright with a year and an organization. So this publisher is NPR, National Public Radio. You'll notice that's the same as my website title, and that happens quite often, and that is totally fine. I also want to note that this copyright year can also be used as the date if there is no date given at the beginning of the article. What this tells us is that this has been updated in the year 2020, and so we know that it is credible because it has been updated recently. It's not, from the 1990s and the information's super outdated, so it is up to date is what I should say. So that's that.